Grand Rising Life Force, and welcome to Speak Pro Radio. My name is Stefan Rao, more commonly known as Tank, and this is the Life Force Network. And if you're not familiar with the Life Force Network or Life Force, the movement, Life Force is a movement of like-minded people dedicated to changing the world. And what we are doing is gathering those people together to put the great minds, the Imagineers, the visionaries, the inventors, those who see that the world can and has to be and is a different place than the one we have been living in, and are willing to put in the time, effort, and energy to make that so. That is exactly what Life Force is. So we're thrilled to have everybody here today and to talk about the incredible changes taking place all over the world. So with that being said, Lauda, are you available? Are you set? Are you coming on camera, or are you? You have to
I
use
thought you were
words. You
going.
have to use words.
I thought the thumbs up on the side was what gave it away. Like,
Like,
yep, you're gonna put me in.
I'm ready. No one else can hear that. Like,
How are you today, Mr. Al?
I am pretty excited, actually.
Mhm.
I think we are. I'm a perpetual optimist, right? I believe change is happening. Anything can happen. It happens every day, right? Like anything can happen every day. Amazing things are happening. And I'm pretty excited actually about the latest world situation report. Kind of mind blowing, to be honest.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you if we could have just a little bit of a rundown on the situation report. And if you don't know the situation report, or go ahead.
World Situation Report is Kimberly Ann Gogan, the ground commander on UnitedNetwork.Earth. They're really dedicated to putting out the real news, and to be honest, coming from a place that you'd never get it before, right? Because this is coming from the highest level clearance in the world. I just want to point that out. That Kimberly Ann Gogan has the highest level clearance in the world.
Okay, so for people that don't know about this, can you just explain what does that exactly mean by having the highest clearance? What does that mean?
So the entire world operates kind of underneath a quantum mapping system and security systems and various intelligence systems and financial systems and all types of digital systems that connect and have a master system that is very, very far advanced to what we're used to, right? It's much more advanced than the typical computers that people are used to. Things operate on a much, much higher level. And with that, to access the higher planes and densities and realities that exist within the quantum computing realm, you have to have a clearance, kind of like just like a government clearance. So in the same realm of the government clearances, I think like the president has like a 23 or something, right? And then you have, blue sky clearance, which is like people that are able to access all the alien files and things like that, right? And then at the very top of that, I believe Kim's clearance is a 74, right? So from, about 50 levels above the president, right, of the United States, and higher than anyone else in the world. And this clearance enables her access to basically veto and to run anything on the planet, right? So a lot of times when you have governments that get blocked with a bill and they try to, like in the United States, you'll constantly hear, Congress has finally passed the budget, right? And then the budget never gets approved, right? We actually took apart the budget several years ago, like about 4 years ago. Took apart the budget to show that how the budget was just nonsense, right? And the reason why it never gets approved is because Kim Gogan will not approve. The ground commander has the final say, or the comptroller. She has, or the Office of the Guardian has the final say on whether or not those government budgets get approved and funded. And so they're all very flustered and frustrated because they can't get their budgets funded from new money, right? And new money is money that's kept off ledger, that is constantly trading and creating more currency. And there's now a new light system that only allows the currency to come in for projects that benefit the planet, humanity, and all life on Earth and beyond Earth, right?
So the light system is the new golden age AI system, and that has replaced the alpha and the omega system,
Right.
correct?
So the golden age AI system, excuse me, that is the new quantum mapping system, the
Hmm.
quantum computing system that basically runs the world, right? This is why things don't crash because
Okay,
this,
when you say runs the world, what do you mean by that?
what I mean is there are, this is kind of like, I'll compare it to the nervous system of the body, right?
Okay.
So you have a sympathetic and a parasympathetic nervous system, right? And the I'm not sure which is which, but the
Hmm.
autonomous aspect of the nervous system, right, runs basically without you doing anything, right? It's constantly operating. All the functions of the body are running autonomously within the body, like your digestive system, your heart, your lungs, right? Because if not, you'd constantly have to think, breathe, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, right? And so your body has these autonomous functions that are being run by your brain,
Hmm.
but not consciously by your brain, right? You don't have
Hmm.
to think about it. Your body will just breathe and operate and run and function. So, from that perspective, much of the quantum AI system for the golden age system runs kind of like that. I think
Okay.
that's a good way to explain it. So a lot of these things that happen in the world are running based on systems that already exist, right?
Hmm.
So you have to function within those systems. And the way it used to work, the way it used to not work for you and me, for the regular people, right? But the way it used to work for the hierarchy of the deep state, right, is they had something called the asset redemption system, right? Where they would take ownership of your house, for example, then they'd put it into the asset redemption system. And the asset redemption system would spit out a number that was, the house is worth this much, and then give them currency and allocation numbers that they would then use to create currency, right?
Hmm.
And this is how every asset above ground and in the ground on the entire earth was registered to the unknown country, which is the name of kind of the entity behind this quantum system, right?
Hmm.
Um, and this was the unknown country, is what every other country fell underneath, right? It basically was umbrellaed underneath all this. So
Okay.
everything was registered to the unknown country or to the trust or to the quantum system.
Hmm.
And in 2007, it was all cut off, right? So no one could pull money off Ledger until Kimberly Ann Gogan took her position in 2012. As at the time, I believe she was called the trustee, but
Hmm.
obviously she was leading up to be the guardian.
Okay. And
I feel like that was a whole lot of information.
no, that's great. It's great for ones that are hearing it that don't understand what this whole thing is about, who she is, and how important this whole thing is. So just in case, I just thought we could talk about that. But can you give me a rundown on the situation report, please?
Yeah.
You can do it. I
Uh,
believe in you. I know you
there's
can do it.
so many things that she talked about. Um, and I almost feel like I'm not going to be able to entirely
I
do this.
I don't I don't think we want entirely. I think a lot of people, are the same here. Like, my thing is, I don't want to know what exactly happened. I want to know what's your perspective. I want to hear, like, give me an explanation on what's happening. Break it down so these moguls over here don't understand it or have questions, or you know. I just feel like you just are able to explain it a little bit better. I just know that helps me. So.
All right. Hang on one second. Let's get this right. So one of the things that happened is last Friday, the market dropped on last Friday. I don't remember the exact number, but it was like somewhere like over 1,000 points.
Mhm.
Then Monday it dropped again another 1,000 points, right? And this was because the deep state, right, in their genius planning, right, what they'd always intended to do, which I explained last time, is they intended to crash the global economy and buy everything back for pennies on the dollar. And they thought that they had accessed some secret, the Skynet system or something like that, that was going to, and this was one of the ways they were going to get it funded by some Lionsgate portal, you know, nonsense that they thought that they had appeased
Hmm.
their demon leader and was going to release money to them and they were preferred, right? So that's kind of what's going on with the global economy, which is looks like it's since recovered, right? Because I don't think that Kim's going to allow it to crash that way. And
Hmm.
what they did was they pulled $70 million or so out of the stock market, and then they put it to work, right, on secret trade platforms and turned it into lots of money and did absolutely nothing with it because they couldn't bring it back into the actual golden age system, because what they wanted to do was bring all this money back in and start World War III, right?
Hmm.
So what's happening is you have all of this controversy taking place in the Middle East and thus around the world, right? So you have Iran and going against Israel, and everybody's attacking each other, and all this turmoil they're trying to create, right? And these wars cost somewhere in the range of like $70 million a day, based on the area you're in. So they pulled money, or, they pulled money in to basically fund their war, but the groups in the Middle East are now realizing, the ones who are actually freedom fighters, who thought they were standing up to fight against the Khazarian mafia, which, if you're not familiar with the Khazarian Jews, right, this is what the force that actually runs Israel, right? Israel, in and of itself, only existed since 1947, right? And the Khazarian mafia is not really Jewish people. They're not Jewish people in the sense of, people abiding by the law to have a better relationship with God. They are Zionists who believe that they are preferred and that they are above everyone. And they've integrated and stolen everyone's religion. And basically, it's this belief system that goes along with worshiping the devil. And if you talk to certain people in the rabbinical priesthood, they'll actually confirm that's how they're trained, right? That there is a darkness. And in some cases, they'll say that they worship the Abrasics, right? Which was really an alien race that thought of themselves as a god, that was directly involved with harvesting and our planet, all the energy, and the people on it, right? So this is going on all over the Middle East, right? And all the Hamas, Hezbollah, different groups, right, have all, at some point at the core of that, right, the way you rally people together is you tug at their heartstrings and say, we are fighting for the people. We're fighting for our freedom, right? The freedom of Afghanistan, of Iran, of Iraq, the freedom for, all these different groups, right? Palestine. And that's how you get people to fight, right? You get them to believe that they're fighting against the right entity, right? So they're all starting to realize they're not, because the leaders of these groups are the ones in the know who are feeding them this, like, we need to fight and go kill all these people and these people. And I can tell you right now, any group that's telling you to kill other people is not for you. I don't care who they are. There's no value to killing other regular people who are just like you, who want their freedom, right? So when you take two groups of people fighting against each other, they will fight to the death for their freedom. That's how powerful and valuable freedom is. And this is happening all over, right? And a lot of these you may hear of as the white hats, right? Now, my sources told me years ago that all of the true white hats were actually killed on 9/11 at the Pentagon, right? The true white hats, these were the guys inside the government who were trying to restore the republic, right? The United States is often portrayed as a democracy. It's actually a republic. And there was 47 grand juries that were pulled together in secret. And part of this was orchestrated by, allegedly, by these officials in the government who were working to restore the republic to its natural state, right? Which in and of itself, based on the information they had, was very honorable if that was true. I have talked to people who were on these grand juries. So I know that is true. And what I was told is that on 9/11, all of the individuals at the Pentagon that were part of that and others in the government were killed that day. That's what I was told. Is that true? No. I mean, yes, it might be true. And do I think it's true in part? Absolutely. Do I think it's entirely true? I don't know. I don't know. There was also generals who were saying, before, like, talking about 9/11, that they needed another Pearl Harbor, right? Right before they carried out 9/11, right? So these events, though, my point is, so what happens after 9/11? Just, this is a perfect example. What happens after 9/11? everybody in the United States rallies together. It's, if you see something, say something, right? So anybody carrying a bag, if they accidentally left their bag on the subway, would get jumped and beat up, right? And like, get that bag, it could be a bomb, right? Everybody was scared. They played this nonstop. Every place you went, the towers being crashed into by, the planes over and over and over and over again. They were programming people to be afraid of terrorism and thus the war on terrorism, right? And so they blamed it on Osama bin Laden. And so, what do you do when a terrorist from Afghanistan attacks you like Osama bin Laden? The only logical thing you can do, you attack Iraq and go after Saddam Hussein. That's what we did. That was the solution. Most idiotic thing in any, and all of us were like, yeah, I guess, right? Because at least you're doing something. That's how blindly we would follow things like this, right?
Now that you say that, I never actually put that never put it together. And when you said it, I was like, huh, interesting. And that's what they do.
That's what they do. They feed us against each other. We got to get him. We got to get him. Okay, let's go kill. It's like, we all know who did it, right? It was John. Okay, John's the worst. Yeah, but we need to take out John. Great. All right, let's go kill Nate. What? What happened to John? Right? It's like, that's how they operate. It's like, so they just get us all kind of yesing. Like, okay, we got to do something. We're going to fight this, right? We're Americans. We're proud. So believe it or not, being proud of where you're from, there's nothing wrong with being proud to be American or Australian or whatever, right? Whatever you are, if you're Chinese, there's nothing wrong with being proud of where you came from, right? In the history and the culture, what it means to be you, right?
Yeah.
The problem is when you start to think, I'm this and this is better than everybody else. And because I'm better than everyone else, not only do I have a right to hurt them, I have an obligation to do that. And that's what happens. That's how, think about Nazi Germany, right? Whenever you see, this depiction of Nazi Germany, why were these SS soldiers who were just Germans? They were Germans. They were told they were exceptional. They were better. And they had to extinguish this other race, right? And not just the other race, anybody who wasn't what they were. Like, that was the idea, right? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what's happening now, but it's really failing, right? So it's being run in the Middle East, from what I understand, by the Trump operatives, right? This is the alleged white hats, which is really the Order of the Black Sun at this point. Mm-hmm. Not to say there's not good people out there trying to do good work, but I know for a fact firsthand, I work directly with the white hats, right? And I can tell you that when I was working with the white hats and I was talking about the things that they were telling me was true, it was very easy to share information, have it go viral. It was very easy. But when they were running a military operation, the white hats, with the Chinese elders to have the global currency reset take place, I was directly involved getting information. I got a message from Kimberly Ann Gogan. And she, at this time, I didn't believe there wasn't going to be a global currency reset. So Kim contacted me and I also didn't believe these guys were bad. I didn't believe it. So Kim contacted me. She said, listen, so they're trying to do the reset, right? I said, yeah. I'm like, okay, great. She goes, listen, the bad guys are hacking trying to stop it on the 6th floor below the United Nations at the UN dark server. She goes, so contact your military guys and give them this. So she gave me the UN dark server override codes, which no civilian has ever had, I can guarantee you, right? Mm. And I contacted my military contacts who were in the operation while it was happening. Mm-hmm. I disrupted the operation. I said, listen, this is what's happening. I told them where it was happening. Mm-hmm. I told them what was happening. And I gave them the codes. And they confirmed everything. How did they know that was happening? Because they were directly involved. They were the ones hacking the United Nations dark server, right? The black server, it was called. So what happened? The next day, the Chinese elders ordered all of them to never talk to me again. And all of those sources completely cut me off. Like, wouldn't return my calls. Nothing. Like, all of a sudden, it was like I was ghost. overnight.
Wow. Hmm.
So, so what's the conclusion, right? Because I gave them bad information? Of course not, right? Why would they do that? The Chinese elders didn't want their guys to find out the truth.
Yeah, but didn't other people as well, like this is not just the first time that that happened. There were other people that were ordered to not talk to you because you were associated with ground command.
That was the big one. That was the one that like kind of set it off. And I mean, yes,
Hmm.
that's happened since and before that, but that was the big one that really cut me out. Like, which it's kind of like it just exposed who they were, not me.
Well, that's when
Like,
you went down that rabbit hole. I'm like, wait, maybe I was wrong. Like you were talking about this on Tuesday. It's like it's okay to be wrong, you know,
yeah,
just and that's what happened to you.
right. So with the global currency reset, I was a staunch advocate, believing every word
Mm.
that I was told because I had really great sources. So I did believe in it wholeheartedly. And to my knowledge, I'm the only one who was ever, a spokesperson for the RV, the currency revaluation, that's ever come out and said it's all a lie. It's a lie. It's not true, right?
Mhm.
And I did that because I really genuinely felt bad that I had told people it was real and I had amazing information. And it was what I thought was true, but
Mm.
I now know better. I've seen a lot more. I've been given access to things I didn't know were real before,
Mhm.
So I don't think it's I never criticize people who are involved in it because
Yeah.
I get like I get that people get involved in it and
Mhm.
they think it's real, and then they take people that are spokespersons, like spokespeople for this,
Mhm.
and some of those people they actually gave money to speak for it, so they'd continue to speak for it to keep people satiated and kind of consumed with it.
Yeah. I struggle with that. I struggle with the ones that are like, okay, but again, I'm like, wait, maybe they just don't know. But you know, I don't know.
I think some of them
A
do
little
know,
bit
and
of my mouth.
I think some of them just don't care.
Hmm.
So anyways,
Yep.
so I just said that to kind of paint a picture about what's kind of going on, right? It's the same kind of shenanigans still taking place, right? So it's very hard for people in the tomorrow game to break
Mm.
out of it. And that goes all the way up to the top. So all of the white hat group, not even the white hat group, but all the ones that are there who think the best option is martial law and to wage war,
Mm.
you're wrong. It's not the best option, right? And that's what they continue to do. And they can't continue to keep the war going
Hmm.
because they can't get a hold of money from the off ledger system,
Yeah.
basically. So I forget the latest debauchery that they were trying, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but I know they tried to they tried to crash the stock market,
Hmm.
pulled money out of that. Um, this has to do with also something with XRP and cryptocurrencies, right? Like
Mm.
cryptocurrencies, in other words, currencies of death. Just for the record, anybody out there holding crypto, you know, like we don't want to give you bad advice because people get all frustrated by this because crypto still sticks around, but it has no backing of any kind, and it's going to cease to exist at some point in the near future. All right, and so if you have it, you know,
It's hard. It's hard because you know, it's really hard because when this was said before, I'm not trying to speak ill about anyone, but I'm just saying the facts.
no,
Just
no,
saying
this
the
is
facts
good.
here, okay? It was said before, pull out of it, and then it did. And oh, thank you. Yeah.
And
Uh,
you did tell people to pull out before, and then
yeah. So it was said to be, people were told to pull out their cryptocurrency, and then it didn't end up happening that way, and then it did go up. I did see that, and now it's a little bit like, oh, do you keep it? Do you not? I think that's something that it's a financial decision, and I think every single person that goes into this knows. Well, I hope you know if you're investing, you could have a win or you can lose some, and it's okay to have both. That's just how you have to go. The mentality. However, it's quite interesting because I have seen it go up because the lawsuit just, I don't want to talk about cryptocurrency, but there are some stuff that I'm like, oh, what's happening there? So I kind of like am thinking, Could they, again, I'm not giving advice, I'm just looking at it, just what I know. It's like, are they trying to push it up to then sell it? And then, there's just some stuff there because it is going up for what I saw it. And a lot of people are talking about XRP. So I just want to know your,
I mean,
yeah.
look, it's a gamble. All this investing is a gamble, and it's basically a gamble on egomaniacal, insane maniacs who believe in that the only solution to their depression is the apocalypse, right? How much stock, how much investment, how much interest do you want to put in those people's hands, right? Is my personal opinion. Now, if it goes up or not, do I think it's a better investment to have money sitting in cryptocurrency versus taking that money out and investing in yourself? No, I don't. Invest in yourself. That's my personal opinion. And I don't think these things go anywhere. And the
I
little bit
think
of money that you
also,
would make, yeah,
yeah, the little bit of money you would make. Okay.
little bit of money you might make off this, or even if you have big money, if you have large money in crypto, I dare you, please get it out and show me. Take that money out in cash and show me, because I have talked to a lot of people with billions of dollars
Mm-hmm.
in crypto, just in different cryptocurrencies, and they know um, how to mine for Bitcoin and build this market, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all this money, and you know what always happens? Oh, we're moving money here. We're going to take it here. We're going to put it in the Bank of China. We're going to do this. And they can't pull the money out. You can't pull the money out. So if you have large amounts of crypto, it does absolutely nothing for you because you can't use it.
Huh.
So, I mean, think about it. I mean, how many times have we talked to Wizard about this kind of thing?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true.
I
But
mean, like,
yeah.
Wiz is an expert in this kind of stuff. He's an expert in this kind of stuff. He understands how the crypto market works, how it should work, how a unregulated kind of a market works. But there's what happens is you can't pull it out, right? So you can make all the insert fake currency name here, right? Like it
Mhm.
doesn't matter what it is. Like you could turn around and say that like Mentos are the number
Mhm.
one currency in the world, right?
Mhm.
It's fine. Like, and you say like, oh, I have a billion Mentos. Well, it doesn't make it valuable unless other people are trading in Mentos, right? So it doesn't do anything to have a whole bunch of cryptocurrency. I mean, I would say for me, if it was me and I had crypto right now, I would sell it.
I
I would
have a
get rid of
little
it.
actually I have a little bit of a different perspective. I would wait until this moment passes a little bit because how many people would be manifesting right now that XRP goes through the roof? Like, I don't know. I'm a little bit different. Like, I'm not saying not to pull it out. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like
Well,
so, and like by the way, that's why I'm not giving advice. I'm just giving my perspective. Like
yeah.
I don't know. Like I what is I understand the backbone of the here. Okay, here's one thing that happened. Fun fact: at one point, Bitcoin was at like 50 grand. I don't know what it is now. It was like 50 grand, right? And in one fell swoop, it dropped $20,000 in a day, right? One day, boom. Now, the question is, how did that happen? How that happened, how that happened is that Dick Cheney, the former vice president of the United States, Dick Cheney he went to Fort Bragg, and underneath Fort Bragg, which is a military base in North Carolina, underneath Fort Bragg was a terminal that controlled the stock market and things like Bitcoin. So he took the value of Bitcoin and dropped it so that the deep state could make money. So everybody who bought in, they put all this money in, and Dick Cheney just pulled it out, right? And this is when we launched the campaign of don't be a dick, right? Like, don't be like Dick Cheney, okay? So this happened This really happened. And that was Dick Cheney at Fort Bragg. So imagine if you have someone like Dick who's controlling your future. And all it takes is for them to sit down at a terminal at Fort Bragg and they can drop the entire value of it. Right. So you're constantly gambling with these things. The reality.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree with you there.
Now, if you have the money to gamble, go for it. Have a blast. You got $10,000 and, whatever coin. And you're like, one day it could go up, one day it could go down, like maybe make 20 grand, maybe you lose 10 and you don't care. Just have a blast. Who cares? Have fun with it. Look at it for what it is, though.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. Look at it as it is. Because for me, I'm looking at this going, maybe this could happen, maybe not. However, if it doesn't, it's good. If it does, great too. I think that's how you have to look at it. Because I believe that this time is really important, and today and moving forward. Now, what was really cool, she did say it's not Lionsgate, it's Source's Gate. Or maybe I'm saying it wrong, but, what's your thoughts there?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it is.
We spoke about this last night.
Okay, well,
I said, because I spoke to you about it, and I said,
perfect. Well, it's a perfect timing. We're doing a show right now where you can talk about it. Because go ahead. So, what do you think?
Well, I thought that was pretty cool. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But one thing that she said was, it was that Lions. She goes, she doesn't want to call it Lionsgate, and I just wanted to know why doesn't she want to call it Lionsgate? What's the reason for that? Now, I do like the fact that she says it's Sourcegate. I was like, okay, but. Because some people, I've heard a lot of people say to me before, be careful which source you're speaking to. That's one thing that comes up. So, yeah.
I think that's true. I mean, I don't think there's anything else to speak to besides direct, divine light source at this point. However, that's not always been the case. I mean, we had an anti-source. We had Anu, the Abrasics, Lucifer. These were all things that were positioned to appear as gods to us, right? To appear as the authority over us, right? So I do think there's some validity to that. And now there is a question in place, right? If we are the source, the conduit of life force and all creation, right? And we are co-creating with the ultimate source, source of everything. If that's the case and we're constantly praying and submitting ourselves to another being, another deity, or a figure an alien pretending to be a deity to us, right? Or pretending to be God. If we're constantly submitting to that individual, are we manifesting that negativity because we're giving that entity power over us? So that is a question I do think is worth considering. And maybe taking the time, a lot of times when you start a prayer, right? You might say, "Our Father, who art in heaven," right? Now, I think Father actually is safer even than Source, personally, because when I talk about my Father,
but many would. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Many would argue with you that Source is not male or female.
Who cares? If people are going to argue with me,
people wouldn't want to say Father.
No, look, for everybody who wants to make that argument, then you're missing the point, because that's a ridiculous point. Okay. Father is not, in this case, when we're talking about God, the all-encompassing, right? If you need to adjust your words because you have a misperception about what your father was to you, then you can call it Mother, Father, God, or whatever the hell you think it is, right? But the fact of the matter is, Father plays a role, right? A father is, whether you like it or not, is the source that you came from, right? Yeah. That is because you don't exist without that father, right? Now, it has to come together with a mother, but what the life force energy, right? This is actually just scientific fact. There's no way around it. It would come from the father. Also, symbolically, whether you like this or not, A father is supposed to be the head of the household. It's supposed to be the dominant figure who makes the decisions and takes the blame and also goes out and does the work. And in reality, a father and a mother are equals. This isn't a matter of who's superior. This is the role the father plays. Make sense?
Mhm.
So it doesn't diminish the mother in any way.
Mhm.
And it's not about gender. And I don't care about your gender politics or anyone else. I really don't care. The fact of the matter is, I'm not even talking about sex. I'm talking about when I pray. Here's what my father is. My father, my physical father, he's a provider. My father, he's an example. My father is my hero. My father, all the ways that I see my father's always been there. My father will come through. There are qualities and attributes associated with being a father. And my God, I spend every day trying to be more like my dad. Right? I pray that my kids see me as the way I see my dad. Right? Now, think about that from a spiritual standpoint. Where does my dad get his example? Ultimately, if you traced it back and back and back, you go back to a heavenly father. Your origin comes from him. Your disposition, your attitude, the attributes you have, your abilities, right? Think about it. You can't say you don't have a father. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you came from. Whether you were born from a test tube. Well, somebody donated the semen, right? Somebody made that donation to make it possible for you to live, right? Well, again, I don't care if you don't like that. It's just the facts, right? So when you look at it and you start saying, okay, well, what are the attributes you have naturally? Like your height, right? Your physical attributes, your personality attributes, even if you never met your father. These are all things and qualities that we have from our father. So I personally think about when I'm talking to God, I'd rather say my father. Right? Now in the Bible, it talks about our collective father, right? Who art in heaven. And then it takes an extra step and says, holy be thy name. Now, why is that important? Well, because name is character and reputation. So you're not just talking to a generic cloud in the sky. You're talking to that part of yourself that you can relate to, that is in heaven, that is in a higher state of being. Because we all acknowledge heaven means a higher state of existence where God exists, right? So it's our Father who art in heaven. And then just to make sure you don't accidentally talk to the devil, right? Because the devil might be like, well, I'm your father, right? or the Abrasics or Anu or Marduk or Enlil or Enki. They'll be like, oh, they claim that role. So they now step in and say, you're talking to me, right? No. Just to make it clear, I'm talking about the one whose name is holy, whose character and reputation is holy, righteous, pure, caring, kind, loving, gentle, the one who literally is there for every part of you, right? Now I'm saying, our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Now I'm identifying exactly who I'm talking to. Now I haven't put a name there yet, right? But at least my energy is now connected with that. Now that I feel like I could have some confidence with. What do you think?
My internet just dropped out. My whole screen just went all frozen, and all I hear is, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Yeah, you're right. Of course, you're right. You're always right."
Oh my God, no. Don't be that person. No, great.
How was I supposed
We're
to
trying
say
to have a
that?
conversation here.
It cut out. I was like, "What is going on here?"
Now, this is how clever the deep state is. We're on the same internet, by the way. But
I
so
know.
yeah.
It was weird, and I was trying to hear you, but I couldn't. So I'm so sorry.
So the point is that when we're talking to God,
Mhm.
people say the name doesn't matter, and or it does matter. I mean, depends on who you talk to, right? Because if the name didn't matter, how many Christians are praying to Allah, right? Is
But
Allah a name? No, Allah is a
no,
title.
Well, Allah is in the translation. I could be mistaken, but it's like means God. It's just in Arabic.
That's my point. It's not a
So,
name. It's a title.
yeah.
You see the difference between name and a title, right?
I
Like if I call you, if I'm talking to you, right? I'm like, okay, Laura.
okay, okay, yeah. That's what I was gonna ask you.
And if I
Like,
call you Miss Laura, Miss is a title. And if I go, listen here, Miss, I can be talking to anybody. But when I add your name, I'm identifying you. So Allah is just a title. It means God. God is just a title. Goddess is a title. Elohim is a title. These are all just titles. They're not
yeah,
El Shaddai. These are titles, right?
okay.
Adonai. These are titles. They're not names of God. So it's important, right, to identify what is, and let's just say, let's take away the moniker, but
Okay.
identify what's the energy I'm speaking to.
I like that better. Like I
Yeah.
do like that better when I hear that. It's look again. I don't care. I'm just thinking about people that are going to be watching this, going, "Hang on a second, you know, that's the wrong word." So that's where I was asking, what do you think about that? Because I agree with you. It's the energy behind it. You know.
You know what I think
Yeah.
about is, a baby, right? So an infant
Hmm.
grows, their learning capacity is like 100 times greater than an adult, right? And the big reasons why is because they have no expectations for the future and they have no regrets from the past. And furthermore, they have no labels they've put on anything. So everything they're learning is happening in that moment, and that's the only moment that matters.
The present. Okay.
And they're not worried about, like, what am I going to do later? Like, where am I going to go to college? Like, how am I going to pay the bills? Like, oh, I can't believe I did that. They don't have any energy like that.
Hmm.
They're in the moment. So when you're talking to a baby and you're like, this is a hand, right? This is a smile, right? They're learning in real time. So as you're saying it, they're like, they're learning so much. If we continue to learn that way our whole lives, we would be infinitely more intelligent. We use much more
Aren't
of
we
our brain.
supposed? But aren't we supposed to be like that though?
Well, according to Jesus, we are. No
Well, that's
pressure.
well. I can actually like that's what they told me. Like that's
Okay.
how to be constantly, and that's when I learn and how I have learned in these years. It is at a rapid pace, and I believe like when people would say to me, how'd you do that? How'd you learn that? I'm like, it just happened. They tell me what to do, and I just listen to it. I just did it. I'm just learning. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, and I believe that. And when I asked, I was like, is everyone supposed to be like this? And they actually said yes. Remember when I told you, I'm like, it should just be like that. And you're like, no, it shouldn't. I'm like, yes. When you manifest, it should just appear like this. That's just how it's supposed to be. However, if it was like that, we've never had that before. So people are going to start thinking about elephants and then boom, an elephant appears. That's why you kind of like, this is where like Kim was talking about how she has guardians. The way I kind of see it as is like, so we don't all just go running around manifesting all these things that really we don't need. We think we need, but we don't, you know, it's because we never had it. Um, so yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, like what I said, I like, yes, manifestation is instant. It can be, right?
Mhm.
But here,
Mhm.
like years ago, I made a big, I like blew up this guy who came on our call from the Alliance, right?
Mhm.
And this guy Fisher and I, who was like a mentor to me at the time, he was like, "We're gonna start a fight," and I'm like, "Yeah, like I like that." Like, so we set out to like let everybody go off to
Mhm.
provoke the Alliance to speak. Lo and behold, it worked, and the Alliance comes on, and it's this guy Jared Rand at the time who thought he was really important from Rand Corp, right? That family, and he was part of the Alliance, and so they sent him out there to like disrupt us, right? And so he comes on, spouting all this nonsense about, not nonsense, it was real. Like, oh, this technology exists. It's so amazing. Everything's wonderful. You guys, and you'll always know like these operatives because they come on, the public operatives, and they're big soft talkers, right? Don't trust a freaking soft talker, somebody who never cusses, never has an attitude, never gets mad, never has anything valuable to say or believes anything they're saying, and then criticizes you, and they do it in a soft way where you feel great about it. Hey, I'm just listen, I just want to tell you that it's really all your fault. You should probably blame yourself because we're so righteous and pure and happy. That's the kind of bullshit they did, right? So they come on my call to do this, right? And so I have a follow-up interview with him right away. And I blow him up, right? And he says something like this, like, well, everybody's too focused on money, when he's a super soft voice. And I was like, man, you can blank, right? I was pissed when he said that. He said, how dare you? You've got everybody here sitting waiting for currency to revalue. That at the time, that's what it was. You got all these people waiting, and you have the nerve while you sit there comfortably in your home, and they have invested everything waiting on you to come through. And you're telling them they're too worried about money. How dare you? And then the other thing was that's relevant to the actual topic we're talking about is he started talking about like, oh, the galactics. He started giving us the galactic perspective. The galactics look at you and they just think, oh, you're just animals because you're doing this and doing that. Like, and one of the things he was talking about is how we consume each other. Well, the reason why we consume each other, Jared Rand and all these other idiots out there in that whole field who think that we're just going to let them talk to us this way, right? And this was my thought at the time, is as he told us that it was our fault because we're consuming each other. Well, we were consuming each other because of groups like Rand Corp, who would cannibalize people, devour kids, put it in our food, right? All of these different organizations would poison our food, our water, our air, in all these horrible ways. And then the Galactics allegedly had the nerve to look at us and go, oh, they're so, and this was not good. There's many, many, many good Galactics. I'm saying this is what he was saying. This is what Jared Rand was saying, okay? It was criticizing us for doing this. And so I went off again. I'm like, these galactics you're talking about exist in a place outside of time and space. So they have no concept of what it's like to exist within time. So one of the hardest challenges is to bring a galactic into a body, right? And have them adjust to what it's like to exist in time, where you're used to, you can instantaneously manifest anything you want. And now you're limited by the structure that used to exist here, right? Because we had time restraints. We had all of these structural things that would happen here in this creation that would force us to be limited. Yeah. But what you said was always right. It should be instantaneous, right? But when you have people, when all you know that exists is this much, right? This is the whole world to you. Well, when you suddenly can manifest instantaneously, what are you going to manifest? Who knows what will happen? Because you don't know all this other stuff exists. So you can't hold people like that responsible. It's like giving a child a gun and being like, be responsible. It's like, well, they're 3, right? And you give them a gun. You can't expect that child not to kill himself or someone else, right? You have to teach that child and also not give a 3-year-old a gun. But but you have to teach that child over time when it's appropriate, right? Like, here's how you use a gun. Here's what a gun's used for. Here's how you safely control it. Here's how you load the gun. Here's how you don't load the gun. Here's where you keep the gun safely, right? All these things. There's a million things. Even with that, protocol, my dad, who's like, he's got several guns, and he took his gun in his own bedroom and like took the gun, and he's very safe, right? He always looks at the gun and shot through his bed because there was a bullet in the clip and shot through his own bed, right? And when I say my dad's responsible, I'm saying super responsible, been around guns his whole life, right? Hunted since he was like 9 years old. So my point is, even people that really understand it, if you don't understand what's possible, you can't be expected to just Okay, we're gonna manifest everything now. And also, like you said, elephants in the driveway.
Yeah, so it will be, slowly, slowly, and in, your creator's time as well. So it all falls kind of together, same thing. But I believe that it should be instantly. Um, Things should just happen that way.
And I think sometimes they do. Right? Like we see that happen all the time. Like, I mean, think about how we connect energetically. Like when you think you have someone on your mind and they instantly call you.
Yeah, and it's just real. I think, these things, you know,
Yeah,
are
and
real. I
energy's
think
real
we're
to
kind of,
us, of course.
well, because before it was a bit taboo, and I think now it's a little bit not. Like, I think we're all starting to have a little bit of courage and say, no, we're going to talk about this. This is happening. For me, I kind of like tried to hide away for a little bit. Um, and I think other people,
How
um,
so?
whoa, how so? I just, I'm very shy, and that's why. So,
You're very shy. No.
so yeah. Um, so is there anything else that you have to let us know about, what ground command said? Because I
Dodger.
want.
Do you know that the baseball team in New York City, what they're called? Like they used to be called? They were called the Brooklyn Dodgers. Do you know why
Oh
they were called the Dodgers? They were
no.
called the Dodgers because in Brooklyn there was so much
Hmm.
traffic, people were constantly dodging traffic.
Oh, thank goodness we don't live in Brooklyn, do we?
Yeah,
Oh, that's
really. I was thinking you were just
great.
dodging a question, but okay, whatever. I just thought maybe we'd talk about that, but we'll just pretend like it didn't. Okay, got it. Because so you don't want to talk. You're gonna put it back on me. Yeah. Want to make sure I'm clear. That's what we're doing.
Really, we're live. We're live. People can see this. We're not in our balcony just talking.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, yeah. I'm familiar. So, yeah. Anyway, so Kim talked about that, and
Mhm.
I thought that was pretty important. Now, what I thought was profoundly important that she talked about that, like, I don't have a firm enough understanding of exactly how this works,
Okay.
but I know it's important, right? Okay, so I'm going to explain it the best I can. So she talked about the credit system, right? So the old financial system worked on credits. You'd bring
Okay.
credits in, or like you bring life force in,
Okay.
and it would transmute that light energy
Hmm.
from like alpha to the omega system and make it debt or credits.
Yeah.
Okay, so the governments, the way they've been surviving is they've been now,
Mm.
and anybody can kind of relate to this, right? Like you have a credit card, right? You have a loan,
Hmm.
right? And you gotta make your loan payment. So you
Yeah.
use your credit card to pay the loan payment because you're behind. Now you've taken credit to pay off credit.
Yeah.
And that's what the government has been doing. They would in certain times of year, they would be able to call on larger amounts of credit and they knew they could count on this credit.
Yeah.
So much so that debts became
Why?
assets
Why could they rely on it?
because there was different times of the year where they knew money would come in from the system, right? Or
Okay.
credits would come in, or Marduk would allocate money for whatever and smile and favor on them because they were running the world in a cannibalizing system. And so they got used to that and they thought, well, this is how it works, right? And none of them really knew how it works. They're like, it's kind of like you press a button and you're like, well, I know when I press the button, it goes on, right? It's like, well, do you understand the entire mechanism that took place when like you press that button and it had to go to a lever, send a charge here, it connected to this board and that connected this? Like, do you understand all that? No. Like
Hmm.
they don't understand the function or the reality of how it's supposed to work.
Hmm.
So what they understood was I do this, I get this in return. And they're just used to it working that way. So it
Yeah.
never worked for you, the people, or me, the people, right? It never worked for us. It worked for them.
Yeah.
And so what she did was she talked about how their credit system, and I guess this was just the latest catastrophe uh in the tragedy, which is now the deep state.
Hmm.
So they went to access their money
Hmm.
for whatever their credit system that they were used to, and they could just keep running up credit, right? This is what like the Federal Reserve say, oh, we're going to extend the debt limit. That's why when they talk about it, like, The United States in 25 trillion, $28 trillion in debt. To who?
Mhm.
To who? What are you talking about? The debt was paid off, right? So they're constantly building debt on top of debt. And that's what they know. That's why they use financial instruments to create more debt. And they look at debt as wealth, right? So if you have someone who owns $100 million to the bank and they've only paid $1 million, well, the
Mhm.
bank looks at that as $99 million as an asset, but really it's a debt, right?
Mhm.
It's a debt. They don't have anything,
Mhm.
and they're realizing the new golden age financial system operates in a surplus of abundance where there's plenty for everyone. There is no need for debt. There's no need for debt. So they keep trying to create new debt instruments to keep us in a state of debt because debt is shackles, it is prison, it is slavery to keep us constantly paying off debts. We owe. No, that's gone. I mean, in reality, that's gone. I'm not saying that there's not things, mortgages and things, but the reality is the new system works this way.
Okay.
So the governments now, what she said is they went into a full on panic, which they often do. They'll go into a full on panic, then they'll be like, but wait, we can do this instead. And they'll come up with a new manipulative way to try to devise a concoction, right? That's kind of the discouraging part. That always frustrates me. Like they're hit upside the head for 1 second, and then because their punishment is not expedient, is what the Bible says.
Well, how about, since now it's Lionsgate, what if it's different? What if, because I remember, for what I heard, if I'm not mistaken, that there's somebody that wants to, or some organization wants to work with the GIA? What was that all about?
Yeah, that's what I heard. I mean, what Kim said was that the U.S. Marshals, that there's groups inside the U.S. Marshals, who, by the way, these are the same guys who set me up to try to get me arrested and had 7 cars surround me and detectives and things. So I trust them very little, even though the U.S. Marshals are supposed to be a representation of the Republic. They're supposed to be the only real government organization, and I
Hmm.
would love to be able to trust them. And allegedly, the U.S. Marshals are ready to go and work for the GIA, and they want to go and take out key figures from NATO and the UN and take them out of power and implement new leadership type thing.
But
That's
isn't that
allegedly what's happening.
okay? But if they do that, because I know that it's something that she said that she'll, let us know, in the next broadcast what happened, or so on and so on. She's gonna let us know. However, that's a good thing, though, right? If this does happen, what does that mean?
That would be amazing. I mean,
Okay,
it would be amazing if an ounce of logic would sink into all of the
but
jackasses running this thing. Yes.
this is how I keep saying this. Doesn't it just take one person in a leadership role to finally say no? I want to help my people. You know, actually saying this is what I wanted to do. I came here to do this. That not all of them. She even said it. Not all of them are there to hurt people or wanted. They actually came. They wanted to help their country. They wanted freedom, right? A lot of these people wanted that. What if she gets to that point that she gets to there, that whoever's in that leadership role, because it's a hierarchy. That's what they're taught. Like, I'm not in the military, but you know a little bit more about that. Wouldn't they be taught that? So, chain of command is really important for them. So, therefore, it's not really the little guy, well, not little guys, but the ones, down the ladder. I don't want to say, because I don't want to say anything bad about that,
Okay,
but
down the chain of command. So here,
thank you.
so
Thank you.
so yes. So if you are in the chain of command in any military organization in the world, not just military, any intelligence organization, security organization, law enforcement of any kind in the world, if your boss is giving you ridiculous, jackass, nonsensical orders that involve you going to kill a group or destroy a village, set off a nuclear weapon, do something that you know in your heart is wrong, then you are the change.
Okay, right. Let's just say there's someone here going to watch this that wants that. Where do they go? What do they do? Because if you're looking at this, they were trained to follow command. That's what they were trained for. So what do they do then?
What do you do then?
Yeah.
Okay. I promise, I know this is true. I have no one's giving me the authority to speak on this, but I'm telling you, I know this is true. Take out your boss. Remove your boss. Take initiative to defy orders. Don't follow that order. The biggest rebellion in the world, the biggest revolt in the world, the biggest change in the world comes when everybody who's in that position, who realizes this order you just gave me is going to kill people, it's going to hurt people, it's going to cause more damage. Every single person in that position, like, nut up, stand up, be a man, be a woman, whatever, and do not follow that order. And command everybody below you not to follow that order, and recognize that what you are witnessing is treason against humanity and the planet of Earth. That you stand up and say, every one of you, if all of you do it at the same time, if everybody says, no, I'm not going to go kill this village, if everyone says, I'm not going to go do that, if everyone says that, if everyone stands up and does that, you know how easy this is over? Overnight. Tomorrow we're celebrating the streets, talking about a new world that we've created. Not a new world order, but an amazing new world we're in the process of creating and discovering together, where people thrive, humanity lives. There's not this satanic order of idiotic people that are trying to kill you every freaking day, who think the only way to get anywhere is to kill more people and to kill more, destroy more things, destroy more assets, to burn more things. When we stand up collectively, it's so easy. It's so easy. All it would take, and I'm sure, I believe it's actually 3% of the population. 3%. If 3% of the military, 3% of the intelligence agencies, 3% of the police forces, 3% of any of these security organizations, that's all it takes, the world completely changes. 3%. That's all it takes.
Wow.
Now, the reason why that 3% will have such a stronger voice, because they're saying something different. They're doing something different. And they're willing to stand up and say that what we did previously was wrong. Oh my gosh, the power of this, I'm telling you, this is one of the most powerful things you can do in the world.
Okay.
If you've been wrong, if you have been wrong and people listen to you and you were wrong, instead of covering it up, instead of doubling down and pretending like, no, I'm really right, instead of doing that, tell them, I was wrong. Oh my gosh, I was so wrong. I didn't know. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I wasn't. And then do everything you can to do right. Oh my God. Do you know how quick the world changes? You know how quick the world changes when that happens? I mean, I've watched my own life change instantaneously just by realizing, oh my gosh, I was wrong. I wasn't trying to be wrong. I didn't mean to lead you down the wrong path, but I was wrong.
Well,
Here, let's go a different way. Like, you'll lose some. Some people are going to be like, oh, how can I trust you? You were wrong. Because I'm human. I make mistakes. I only had a little bit of the information. I was basing everything thinking I had all the information. But now I have more information. Therefore, I can make a better judgment. Oh my God. Politicians, wake up. Can you imagine if that happened? Every single person, every intelligence agency, isn't that how you apply intelligence? When you get new information, you do different things. You don't keep doing the same dumbass things when you get new information. It's like, oh, this works, right? Then don't keep doing the dumbass thing. Stop doing that. Here, let me break that down again. What I'm saying is, These groups are filled with people making bad decisions
Mm-hmm.
that hurt other people. And most of these groups, think about it, the FBI, the CIA, Secret Service, uh, NSA, Scotland Yard. Is that a real thing, or is that just from? I don't even know if that's real.
Mm.
Um, like all these different security groups around the world, the Army, the military, the Marines, Navy. Didn't you guys go into that because your natural instinct was to protect other people, to
Mm.
protect freedom, that you believed in what you were doing was had value? What if it still has value? What if you can make it more valuable than even what you thought before because you're really fighting for freedom? You were just fighting the wrong people. And you could actually stand up and fight for the people. You're just going to have to stand up to the people that are giving you bad orders. Instead of being like, I won't question the chain of command, question everything. You should. You should challenge everything. You should ask a question about every single thing anybody tells you to do. Don't believe anything blindly. I mean, this applies to everything. If you're a drug rep, a pharmaceutical sales rep, and you go in selling a product and you realize that the way you're presenting the information is a lie, don't do it. If you're a doctor and you think it's questionable about a product, don't prescribe it. You know, if you're a mom who has a question about a food, don't give it to your kid. I mean, this is the greatest way to destroy all of these functional things that have suppressed us, oppressed us, depressed us. You can completely obliterate it in your own life just by making those little decisions. It's amazing. It's amazingly powerful.
I agree with you. I'm so sorry. I was listening to you, so I'm like, yeah, I agree with you. But can I ask a little question?
Mhm.
I remember, well, I don't know when I heard this exactly, but she was talking about how the operatives are now free agents. Could these people, as she goes down that ladder, could they not know? Like, again, I don't know. Could they not know that they're not free agents and that's why they continue to do this? Or this is why I'm not in military, this is why I'm not in intelligence, I should say. Can you just explain that a little bit? Or could they not know
I don't
about that?
think they know what that means because they've never had that opportunity. They've always been
Oh,
like, think about it like if you believe that, okay, like I'll use my own example.
okay.
I was raised believing
Hmm.
that there's a lake of fire and I'm going to it, right? I'm going to lake of fire if I don't get saved by Jesus, right?
Hmm.
And everyone kind of, like when I say it, I'm not trying to mock it. I'm making a point about the what a
Your
psychological
experience.
mind f this is, right?
Yeah.
Then I went into a religion where it was basically like you are bound for the lake of fire, and your only way out of it is through grace and mercy. And grace is an unmerited gift. Mercy is when you deserve punishment, but you don't get it. And basically, you are bound for hell because you're a fallen angel. And if you don't do this, actually, it doesn't matter what you do. Even if you do everything good, it doesn't matter unless God has mercy on you and gives you grace or has grace, gives you this gift. You're going to hell.
This is
Like
what they teach you? Like, this is,
I
they
lived with
actually
that
taught you
for
this?
20 years. I lived with that mentality for 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
That's
that was my adult life. That was
crazy.
something I chose because in that religion, they actually showed proof of what they were talking about. So it was impressive.
Okay.
It was impressive to me. But even growing up Baptist, I grew up Baptist, like born again Christian.
Yeah.
They tell you all the time you're a sinner, right? And that you need Jesus Christ as your savior, right? Which, okay, look, I'm not trying to insult any Christians, but then it's like, but think about the logic, right? You need to believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins. Well, no, you don't, because it's not just that he died on the cross, it's that he was buried, resurrected, carried out many signs and wonders for 40 days, ascended on a cloud, and then poured out the Holy Spirit. Why don't you talk about, you need to know, if you want to be saved, that the Holy Spirit was poured out on man. That has some legs to talk about. But that's not what they talk about. The whole thing celebrates death. Everything is a crucifix, a cross. It's talking about the death, but in talking, in dwelling on and focusing on the death, you don't focus on the life which he gave you. Right? Jesus allegedly said, "Greater things than these will you do." Right? So what were we doing? What was he doing? He was feeding the multitudes, thousands of people who had no food. He fed them all. He turned water into wine, which I'm not sure why that's significant, but really fun at a party. But he healed the blind, the lepers, the cripples. He healed all of them, restored their life. He raised the dead back to life. And I always think about this. What are we doing that's greater than that?
Well, see, this is where I kind of go, like, don't they teach you that Jesus gave the divine Holy Spirit or whatever to his disciples? Again, I don't know much about this. I'm just asking. Like, he poured that.
So after,
Wait,
yes,
was it really after? Because what we saw, it wasn't after.
it
They got it
definitely
for a
was. Yeah, it
wait,
definitely
wait.
was because
What?
what he would do is he would lend it to them.
That's what I was. Wait, this is what I was going to say. Lend it to them. Okay, so that means that divine came and lended it to the disciples, and once he left, that Jesus left, then they were able to do these miracles as well, right? That's how it goes.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so therefore, how is it hard for people to believe that? Then they went and gave it to everyone else, or what if that's happening now? That now this divine light is coming through at this exact moment, um, by all of these beings, you know, and celestial beings all over the world. Right now, that's what's happening. It's a question.
Why is that hard for people to believe?
Yeah.
2,000 years of programming that they're
Okay.
subservient to death
Okay. But
in every religion in the world. Every religion in the world teaches a subservience to death. I mean,
okay.
that's
So if
like a straight answer to your question. That's why
okay,
it's
no, but
hard
okay.
because you're looking at generational programming,
Yeah.
reprogramming to basically teach people that they are less, that
Okay,
they are
but you
slaves.
were able to get out of that for 20 years. That's a really long time. you know so what was your first thing? Like, let's just say someone's watching this and right now they're thinking, holy moly, like, okay, what do I do now? What would they do?
I'd love to talk about this like I've got this mastered. Right.
I'm not asking to if you got it mastered, but do you
But
know what? Perhaps maybe your experience, just like my experience, just like what we go through, could probably help someone else some way. I've always said this. I just want to help. If I could just help one person, and at the end of the day, that's all I helped, was that one person. I changed their life. And that was good enough for me. So, I was very blessed that I've already got that from certain people around me that have said that. What if it's your time that something changes, like your experience helps someone get out of being trapped? Because that's really big. Like, to hear what you heard and then to feel trapped, to feel ashamed. Like today, I was speaking to someone and we were talking about, being ashamed. And I remember feeling that emotion for the first time in such a really long time. Or actually, I don't think I ever felt that emotion. And I was like, what is this? And he was ashamed. And I was like, I'm ashamed of myself that I'm feeling this shame. How dare me feel shame? You know better, do better. But I felt so disappointed. And I thought, oh my Lord, being ashamed of oneself is so strong. Or feeling trapped is so strong, or not knowing what to do, or just awakening to something that just doesn't make sense in your head. I understand that it's about programming. I understand all of that. But what do you do to get out of there? And I have my ways of doing it. But before all of this happened, you were able to break away from someone going, you're going to go to the lake of fire. I don't know. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, it's interesting question actually. I was devout in my religion for 20 years, and
Mm,
this was a religion I chose after when I was 19. I went to a Bible class, and in this, they brought up and asked questions that I had never considered. Right, basic things, really basic things, like there's no J in the Hebrew, Greek, or Latin language, right? And Jesus was Hebrew. They spoke Hebrew and Greek and Latin.
mm,
So how could his name be Jesus if there was no J? That was a simple question, right? But it shook my whole world.
mm,
I was like, wait, if there's no Jesus, there's no Jehovah, no John, no James, right? And that little question was enough to get me to ask questions
mm.
because I couldn't deny that was fact, right?
Yeah.
Facts are really powerful if you're listening to them and some things are like speculation, but when you have a fact like that, it's like, well, what do I do with that?
Mhm,
So that led down to a series of a million other things, which I still think are profound. Like that, I don't have any regrets about being in that religion because it wasn't like some weird, we weren't doing creepy things or anything like that. It just was about, it was so devout and it got perverted like every religion. But what it taught me, I mean, they taught me how to dress, how to conduct myself, how to speak. I have nowhere, I am always grateful. They were beautiful people, right?
mm,
Now, parts of it did get perverted. The hard part was, though, at some point it got perverted into this idea that we were all born, we were made to be destroyed. That's what that was said.
mhm,
Now, to be honest, they weren't lying. The other dark side, they believe that too. They believe we're made to be destroyed. Like all of us are here to be destroyed. We don't matter. We're just here to be harvested, right?
mm,
So I didn't know all these other things existed though.
mhm,
But for me, it was like all of a sudden, like one day, like I couldn't go along with that religion anymore. I didn't see the value in it anymore because there were
mm,
certain things I couldn't resolve. I couldn't resolve it myself. They were too powerful, and I couldn't understand how can you keep saying this. And that's the problem with any construct of belief is that it ends up being you have to do this to be what you want to be, right? And no matter what you do, you never get to where you want to be. You're never fully what you want. Now what I wanted to be myself. I just wanted it to be okay that I was myself, flawed and all. I wanted that to be okay, and I wanted it to be okay with God. And I spent my whole life feeling like nothing I did was good enough for God, right?
mm.
And then one day somebody said to me like, "Didn't God make you? Like, didn't He make you this way?" And then
Yeah.
I thought, what a cruel joke, right? You're mad at me for being who I am, but you made me this way, right? So it's very frustrating to me to look at God that way. And I really had an antagonistic relationship with God
Mm,
for many years because I was constantly trying to please someone or something or this entity that really designed me to be failed, to be a failure, to not be enough, right?
mm,
Realizing that frustration, and that's the cycle that I mean, anybody who's actually trying to understand God through religion, that's basically what it tells you, right? We're all sinners. We're all this. We're all less than. We're all right. And then in the next breath, it's but you're the chosen one. You're chosen. The Muslims are chosen. The Jews are chosen. The Christians are. Everybody's chosen, right?
mm,
And that's the problem. If I'm chosen, it means you're not. Right? It means you're
mm,
not. If I am, you're not, right? Or if you're not exactly what I am. So then if I am chosen and I think that's exceptional and I'm doing all these things, now I'll do all I can to teach you how to also be chosen. But how? How can you be chosen if that's the cycle to get to God? It doesn't really make sense.
Mm.
What makes more sense now and over years of ups and downs and battles with this, when I broke out of it, it wasn't easy for me. My whole life fell apart. Everything I believed fell apart seemingly overnight.
Mm.
Everything, and because everything I believed in fell apart, everything I was fell apart. Because all of what I was based on these things. So everything collapsed around me. Everything.
Mm.
Like, and suddenly I was being targeted and suddenly couldn't make money. Every every friend, family, anything left me. It was brutal. Now, I don't think it has to happen that way now. I don't think it's that way now. I mean, this was, 10 years ago. I went through that and I just watched my whole world crumble around me. I don't think it has to happen for people that way now. I think we're in a new age, this golden age,
Mm. 'Cause I was gonna
where
say, if you leave it like that, I don't think anyone wants to wake
listen,
up.
you're the one that asked the question.
I
I
don't know
didn't bring
about
this
you.
topic up. You brought it up. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm like, okay,
You're
so,
like,
but
listen, buzzkill. Maybe a different topic.
well,
I'm just
no,
telling you. That's what it's like for me.
because of that, it could, it's who you are today because of that. That's what I'm like. As much as it might hurt us, but thank you for that. You are here today with the knowledge, the wisdom, and everything else that came with it. The experience as well that I don't have, and I think a lot of people do not have. Like, that was the one thing when you tell me these stories, sometimes I'm like, holy moly. Until I actually started being around you, I started to go, okay, that makes more sense now. Everything's kind of falling into place, and I kind of understood it a little bit more. But when you hear about these things at the very beginning, you're like, no, there's got to be a reason. It's probably just a coincidence, so on and so on. So that's why I'm like, I just don't want people to feel scared to be like, oh, wait, what do I do now? It's doomsday. Because you woke up like 10 years ago. Is that
I
right? Well,
I guess. I mean, like, I don't know what that
well,
means. Like, what do you
okay.
mean?
Okay.
Like I
When,
started to wake up. Like I definitely, I definitely went through a
okay.
process starting 10 years ago for
When you
sure.
started to when you started to question things and started realizing, wait, something's not right here.
Well, it's funny because I, I thought when I was 19, I
Yeah.
was a college wrestler at 19,
Mm.
and I was having the best season I had in college. Right, like I was doing really well, and I came into this group, and I was like, I thought it was the end of the world because that's what they're teaching. Right,
Mm.
it's the end of the world, and so I was like, oh my God, I need to get right with God. So I quit wrestling in college so I could get right with God.
Well,
And
I
like,
think
I
that's
mean,
what a lot of people. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of people in that position right now. I need to make it right with God, Jesus. So that's what I'm saying. What
yeah, no,
advice
I
would
mean,
you?
that state 20, that was 28 years ago was brutal. I mean, I was a kid, right? I had an identity. I lost my identity. I lost my friends. I mean, I didn't lose my friends. I still have those friends, but like it's never the same,
Yeah.
right? I went down a path trying to understand God, and I was mocked and ridiculed for doing it. Right? That's hard, when you're especially when you're a kid, when like the time when you're most, that was brutal. But I spent the next 20 years doing that
Mm.
and traveled all over and preached all over and believed it and learned amazing things and met amazing people. And I have no regrets about that, you know.
Yeah.
And now, and then, then after all that, realized it was all wrong, right? It was all wrong. But the things I learned were wrong. Like, like there's lots of value in that.
There is. Like, you were able to tell me things that I did, like, put pieces together about what happened in my life that I'm like, oh, really? I thought it was something else. But you're like, no, this is what it was. And I can tell you for a fact. And I'm like, And then I started going down and realizing, wait, he's right. That makes sense now. See, the difference is that when you have someone else confirming you know, what's happening around you or what you're experiencing, you don't feel that crazy. And I think now a lot of people are giving themselves permission to start to remember and to you know it's quite scary to kind of go. I even like heard stories about Jesus going, you think he died on a cross. He didn't die on a cross. He had chakras. That was now made dormant. So the 12 chakras, this woman was talking about it, and I was like, that's interesting. Wanted to ask you about that. But like, there's a lot of information out there that people are like, is that true? Is it not? And it can become a little bit scary, but I'm like, no, this is great. This is like, it's time to embrace this. Or because you didn't die, right? It made you stronger. It made you who you are today. So
Yeah.
thanks to that, you are able to explain these things, because now is the time. What you were doing 20 years ago, what you did before, that's going to start happening now. People are going to start to remember, hang on a second, I was working for the wrong people. Can you imagine? Like, if they're really, really here to help humanity, which I can tell you that a lot of them are, they just, for whatever reason, they just don't understand, or they've been misinformed, and they wholeheartedly believe this is what's happening. I know this person wouldn't lie to me. This is trusted source. This is how I make an income. People trust me. If I go another direction now, no one's going to trust me ever again. You know,
Yeah. That's a tough one. That's a
yeah,
tough one.
those people will be feeling this way. However, I think it takes more. I think it just shows who the person is if they're able to do that. It's like, wait, you can admit when you're wrong. Like, I respect someone that's able to say, hey, listen, I upped, and, I apologize. You can move it along. I'm really sorry. But I feel like it just shows your integrity. And I think that's what it is. It's integrity. It's, saying, okay, I now understand there's something not right. So for my viewers, I'm going to, have an open mind, figure it out. What are we going to do here? Go searching for the truth. I think that's really important, that it's okay if you were, just make it right. But like you said, if you have a platform and you have heaps of followers and you're starting to realize things are not making sense, I think it's really important that they say, hang on a second, I should probably, you know, actually say the truth. Because my thing is that I don't think all of them want to harm people. I think a lot of them do want a better world. They want to restore this planet. That's why they did this. And even if they did go down the wrong path, like, they have to do some healing too. It's not the end of the world. You were lied to. Everyone was lied to. But it's like, I think it's a time that they stand up and say, let's, I saw this thing in Bangladesh, I think it was. I think I showed you.
Yeah. Yeah. Exciting.
Crazy. I don't know if it's true or not, but this woman was just like crying, going, my people are free. And it brought tears to my eyes. I was like, oh, that's what I
And
desire.
she talked about
And
everybody standing up together, right? Like that
that's
was
right.
like
That's right.
because they ousted the dictator or whoever it was to push her out
Yep.
of Bangladesh.
And she went to India. Yep. And then I think in Venezuela, I think, again, just I saw a video, and did a few, saw a little bit of videos out there, there's different ones of like the police officers taking off um,
Uh
their uniform and actually started protesting with their people. Like, I'm not saying to protest, but I'm like, when people stand up for their people, you did this to be a hero. You did this so one day you can make your children, your grandchildren proud, to help your people. Now your people, and like, your people are in, like, they need your assistance. Like, one thing I said, Americans, you piss off the military in America, be careful. And the minute they start to question their leadership, you better be careful, because they were trained to kill. So when I hear that the militaries are starting to wake up in the US, I like to just sit down and have my popcorn and be like, you do your job. I'm going to sit here. Because I know that they do want to protect their people. A lot of them do. And what do they
Right.
do after that?
So this is why I was saying the most powerful way to change the world
Mhm.
is every single person who's in a position where they recognize in security, in the military, in intelligence, in the government, and they're still pure enough to recognize what you are asking me to do
Mhm.
is dangerous, catastrophic, damaging to the people, the mission, my core values, my belief system, and I'm not willing to do it because I don't trust you anymore. Stand up and say it and don't leave. You know what people a lot of times do? Like
Mm.
when you have a lot of like say law enforcement,
Yeah.
they see something bad happening, right? And so what they do is they take a stand and they quit.
Mhm.
They're like, I won't be part of this, and they get fired and they leave. Don't quit. Don't quit.
What do you do?
Stand in the space. Stand in that space and you tell everybody else there, every one of you, we are here to protect. I'm charged. I have a responsibility. I am this. Whatever it is. I'm an officer sworn to protect. I have an oath of office. I'm a person. I'm a representative of the people. I am a intelligence officer. My job is to protect the people. My job is to protect the people. That's your job. Protect the people. The people like and stop thinking by keeping people blind, ignorant, stupid, controlled is protecting them. It does not protect them. It does not. Stand up for it. Stand up, do the right thing. Stand up. It changes the world overnight. And stop being afraid of your idiot superior who's telling you to do something stupid.
Mhm.
Because if you trace the actual chain of command, it will land you at the ground commander for planet Earth.
Mm.
And that person, if you stand up and look to that person for your actual direction, she's sure as heck not going to tell you to continue to, napalm villages and do horrible things. She's not going to tell you to wage war. We are in the restoration. It's a state of peace. So look to your skip over the people telling you to do horrible things because they are corrupt. They're corrupt. Whoever is at that baseline is where the war is.
Sorry, can
That's
you
where the
repeat
real
that?
war.
That base line
That
is where.
baseline of where there is people realizing the orders they're getting
Mhm.
from their direct commander are wrong. That's where the war is.
Wow.
Those are the people that need to stand up. Those people stand up, it changes everything because all it takes is for them to say, no, wait a minute, question, challenge, look above them. Where are you getting this order? Where are you getting this information? This is bad intel. Ask questions, challenge it. Don't be belligerent. Like, stop taking orders. You're not a freaking robot. Like, make a damn decision for people and actually question what's going on. Where is this information coming from? And do something about it and find out the truth. Be tactical if you have to, but get to the real authority on these things. I guarantee you it will pass by all the people who are trying to hurt everyone. It'll get to ground command. That's a fact. That is a 100%, I'll bet my life on it, fact.
Okay.
So I'm just saying. That's where we're at. That's where I really think the battle is
Mhm.
those people realizing, hey, I didn't get into this for nothing.
I agree with you there. And that's the thing. I think that's where, like, I don't know. I like to hope that that's where the person she's going to speak to is at that point and has had enough. Because if that's the case, can you tell me what does that mean? Because I know that it changes things, but like, what could we expect with these changes?
It all depends on the number of people that get involved, how many people stand up.
Hmm.
It depends on how many are willing to walk away from a life of poverty and demolition because that's what's happening. It's no
Wait,
longer
walk away?
from a
Yeah,
life
yeah.
of poverty and demolition because they're not going to make any more money. They're never going to make these big amounts of money they were used to. So as they continue to defy the way the new system works, they will continue to lose and devour and cannibalize the money they have, whatever money they made, because you can't use money anymore to hurt people. You can't. And it's demolition. So they're walking away from a system, an order, an organization, a belief system, a structure that did in fact exist, was very powerful for a time. And that time has passed. That season has passed. So you're walking away from a failing regime that wanted nothing but death, destruction, and control, power, all absolute control of your mind, of the will of the people, of our energy. You're allowing it to die off. And you're embracing a true life force energy thriving through everyone. A vitality that connects you to things that matter, a life, a joy, a peace, a happiness that exists in all of us. It's common to all of us if we just allow it to blossom and be our reality. It will naturally become our reality. And here we are on August 8th. This,
Yeah.
the like the peak of Lionsgate, right?
Yeah.
Why not today? That's
Why
my
not?
thought.
How was that? How was your day today? You feeling a little bit
My day was great today.
good?
Yeah, I
See?
closed deals. I did good work. I helped people. I'm very pleased with my day.
Good. I felt like it was a little bit like I was a little bit anxious. Just a little bit
What, like
at one
anxious, like
point.
excited, or like nervous?
Yeah. Like I was really like I was okay, I was working, we were doing a few things, and then afterwards I went to go have a bath, and suddenly like my blood pressure just dropped crazy, that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do the show tonight, because I like it just dropped. But then I was like, but I don't feel danger, because like there's sometimes when I feel these things, I feel like, okay, is it danger? Is it this? I'm not sure. Like I'm always trying to figure it out. And usually they're helping me and assisting me. This time I didn't feel danger. I felt like, no, no, no. It's just that this is just there's a bit of waves happening, and motion sickness. I think it was like that. Um, but it was good. Like I'm starting to feel
Right.
like it doesn't matter what's happening in the world. It doesn't matter what I'm seeing or what's coming up. I'm able to say, okay, wait, we can ninja this, or we can just kind of like, what do we need to do here? Help me, assist me. And you're able to start seeing these, what you need to do, what needs to be healed, what needs to be just not the time. It's not the
Oh, I
time.
agree. I agree with that. Yeah.
Like there are some things that are being still released from our system that were taken out of the system. So I'm like, I'm looking at this, that the golden
I
age.
got you. No, you made sense. I had to process it for a second. Yeah.
Sorry. So I'm like
No, you're
thinking,
good.
wow, these things are really cool, because I'm starting to feel it, and I know other people are starting to feel it too. So I don't know. I'm like excited, and I like we said on Tuesday, this has now become a lifestyle change. It's not just for today. You need to be living like you are today, tomorrow, the next day, the next day. And I'm telling you, one day you're going to wake up and you are going to be in, you are going to manifest everything that you require, needed, wanted. And then you're like, oh, I did this. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, I think we put these limits on ourselves. It has to be done on Lionsgate. It has to be done from this, you know, uh, this is the process. It's like, let it all go. Just go with the waves. You just never know. Like when we were in Jamaica and we just laid down, and I actually got over my fear, because, I was like, okay, we're doing this. And you just let the waves take you. And it was like, it's okay. And if you're going to die, you're going to die. It doesn't matter. But there's no way you're leaving Jamaica not jumping off a cliff. Like, your parents saw you right now, they would be
Yeah.
so disappointed in you. When I told them, 32-year-old girl calling their mother and father going, listen, hey, this is what I did. They're like, great, I'm so happy for you. I'm like, I'm not going to get in trouble? What? Like, I would walk outside with my hair wet and you would yell at me. Now I'm jumping off cliffs and you don't care? Do you not love me anymore? So you kind of go through those things, but it's like these new experiences are going to start happening, these amazing blessings, or, you're going to start seeing good things coming in your life if you expect them. Because there's things that were blocking us before are just not there anymore. And I can tell you that for a fact, because there are things that I'm seeing that are different. And you're seeing things too. Even like yesterday, we were walking and it was like, there is definitely a shift happening here. It
Oh my gosh,
was,
we should have loaded up the picture. You should have loaded up
yeah,
the
I don't
picture.
have it here. But
So
yeah.
yeah, this is profound. Yesterday, I was like, I got back from work and I was like thinking, okay, I was thinking about what Kim had said about this, right? She talked about now is the time to make a covenant with Source,
Mm,
right? And she was saying how you make a covenant with Source, an agreement that
mm,
I will play this role, whatever it is you need me to play, right? And maybe you know
X, blah,
what
blah,
that
blah.
is. And but in return, what I require is this. I need these things so
X.
I can accomplish my job, so I can play the role I need, whatever that is that you need for your soul, right? So Lauder and I talk about this a lot. Like, what do you need to be comfortable? Like, do you need a home? Do you need an office? Do you need more time with your kids? Do you need, to feel better energetically, your health? You need to lose weight. You need to be, have your eyesight corrected. I don't know, whatever it is, all those these are all my issues, right? Like I'm thinking about my eyesight all the time because I'm like I hate when my vision gets blurry in the sun. Anyways, like, but these are all things that like they can be anything, whatever it is that is bothering you, right?
Yeah.
And and you can make that covenant with Source, be like, hey, this is what I need, this is what I require, and this is my covenant, right? So we were talking about this, right? And I was like, really, like, I mean, like we weren't even talking about like it was a lot of this was in my head, but this is what I was thinking about when we were talking. And
Yeah, because we weren't really talking about it. We kind of touched base. Touched base, but you hadn't really heard the. No, you hadn't heard you hadn't heard ground command. I have.
No, I
So
hadn't heard the report.
no, you hadn't. So you started. So I was just giving you little pointers about what I had heard. So then we walked outside, and then suddenly we're walking, and it starts raining. I'm like, great, but our dog needs it. We're like, okay, let's just do it. So we just started walking, and then it stopped. It just stopped, and then we see these clouds, and it looked like they were like this one cloud looked like it was fake, and all the other clouds it was different. I was like, okay, that's weird, but we kept walking, and then suddenly, what did we see? We see the a rainbow. That's what it was. We saw a rainbow. Okay, this is yours.
Yeah, no. So it was a beautiful rainbow, a full rainbow directly over us, and you couldn't see the sun. Right? It was like sun was coming from behind the cloud. It was gorgeous. Right? Now, if you're familiar with the Bible at all, what happens after the Great Flood is that after the Great Flood, Noah basically has this moment where the rainbow comes in the sky, and what it is, it's a covenant with God. So it was very in line, right? And the covenant was that he would never destroy the earth again by water, something like that, right? And that humanity could thrive. So when I see rainbows, especially this kind of rainbow, I was like, oh my God, what I always think of as a new covenant. So what I looked at when this happened was like, it was this incredible confirmation that what I was thinking about, this covenant with Source, was real.
Mm.
Right. It was really profound to me. I was like, oh, wow, this is really happening. Right.
Mm.
Like out of nowhere. Like this is actually happening. Like it was, I was just talking about it, thinking about it, really thinking about these covenants. that we make with God, like, and willing to say, hey, look, I'll lead, I'll, I'll follow, I'll be whatever you have me to be. I'll be a servant and an expression and an ambassador of source in righteousness in divine light for the restoration. I'll do that. Like I am that, right? And being that, whatever that means to you, right, in this new world, and like whatever it is for you that you want to be, you know, and in return, this is what I need. This is what I require to do that, right? Am I looking at? Am I explaining that right?
Yeah, yeah.
You
Well,
sure? Because I feel like if I had you on camera, it wouldn't look like because you don't look sure. Am I saying something wrong? Am I saying it wrong?
no, no, no. No, you're saying it. You're saying it perfect. No, no, no.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, no, no, no.
anyways.
It's your experience. So, and what?
Well, I mean, I'm
No,
just
did you
I'm just putting it
tell?
in a way that like makes sense. I like
Yeah,
to
but
me.
did you talk about the light shining? That light
Which
when
one?
we asked, we
Oh
asked
yeah, yeah, yeah,
for
yeah. No, here, come on, come on, camera, so you can tell.
what?
You lost internet. Now go ahead.
Yeah,
Explain.
I'm sorry. Yeah, did you explain about how you started asking it? You did you talk about the ship? How sometimes the ship gets covered with clouds. Did you know that?
Yeah, like so, like like alien ships sometimes get covered with clouds, right? No, I didn't talk about that. But we were looking
Okay,
at this cloud. And we are like, that looks like an alien ship, right? Go ahead.
yeah. So yeah, so then as we see this, it was so crazy. It actually looked like it was a fake cloud. And we kind of looked at it and we're like, that looks, there's something there. And then I said, okay, we're sitting there, we're standing there. And I said, okay, if that's the case, you know, flash a light, do something. Nothing happened. We ended up going inside to do something. We walked back out. We are now walking for like 5 minutes, something like that. The same cloud is right next to us. And as it's right next to us, I'm like, wait, this is the same cloud. And we're both looking at the same time. And I don't know about you guys, but me, I have never seen lightning that's red. It was red. There was a red light, and then it just like disappeared. And then the clouds started just like blending, and there was nothing there, right?
Yep.
And then the whole time we would like he was talking to his creator, and you would think that it would rain or there was thunder. No, it was just lightning. And it just every question that he would ask, his creator, it would flash as he's talking to me. And I'm like, there's no accident. And even it even happened in the house as well. That's how strong the energies are.
Yeah.
These little muggles over here are communicating with, lightning and clouds and these little not little, but it was like these spaceships that were covered by a cloud, which I don't know if anyone knew that, but that was quite interesting for me.
Okay, so here's what I want to end the show. Right, you're absolutely right. That's amazing energy. So I want you to talk about. I want you to talk about this with Lionsgate. There was an exercise that people were doing, which I think that there's power in this, whether you do it today or do it every day.
Hmm.
The like manifesting, writing things down, sealing it in an envelope. Talk about that.
Well, it wasn't sealing in an envelope. It was just writing it on a piece of paper. So you just write down all everything that you want. Let's just say it's like the New Year's. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I'm the type of person that will run around with a luggage on New Year's Eve because a ritual said you have to run around with a luggage and you will end up traveling the world. Well, it's kind of true. So I did do that, and it did happen. Remember that year? It did happen, and we ended up going to Jamaica. We ended up going to. I came to America, and so on and so on. And so, anyways, one of the things that you can do is write on a piece of paper what you want, and you put the date, and you sign it. So your desires, I guess you could say, not what you want, but like the planet's restored. I am healthy. I'm X amount. If you want to lose weight, you're X amount weight. If you want to find your soulmate, I have found my soulmate. Or perhaps, find yourself first before you go looking for your soulmate. I just feel like that's a little bit more special.
They can put that on there though. I mean, it's their right. It's their you can't tell them what they can write.
I'm not saying not to. I'm just saying, like, go find yourself first before finding a soulmate. Because sometimes if you do it the other way around, it doesn't always work out that way. Like, I'm just saying, I think we're at a time now that, yes, it's beautiful to find your soulmate, but how incredible if you find yourself first and love yourself, and then your soulmate would just appear, or that person that you love would just appear because you would just get attracted to it. That's all I'm trying to say. Anyways, put everything down. Write it all down. It doesn't matter. If it's, for example, you have a business, you want your project done, you know, write it, envision it, have it there. Live as if it is here today. And as you're writing it, feel the emotion, just put it all out there. Say it out loud, put the music you want, change the energy, make it really powerful. And you just write it all down. Then you fold it up. And then you bring it to your heart. And you can do whatever you want. Like for me, I just like thank you. You say your gratitude, you know, thank you for um what was it? Thank you for help me out here. What was it again? Like, thank you for like being gracious. So, like, okay, thank you for giving it. Like, basically, the bottom line is you put me on the spot here. I didn't come prepared for
I'm
this.
not sure what you're
This
talking about.
was no, this was something that me and
Thank
you
you
did
for
together.
being cool. I don't know. Like, what?
This was something that me and you said that we were going to do together, and now you're putting me on blast, and I don't have like it written down. But basically, what you're going to do is you're just going to put it all down and put all the positive energy in there, fold it all up, put it in your heart, say thank you, and then you're going to write down on a calendar or somewhere. You're going to do it somewhere. Write down where you put this piece of paper. Tell someone, and then on the 8th of August, 2025, go look at it again. And I'm going to find the video or wherever I found it, and I'm going to put it on our channel. But that was something, and then there was other stuff that you can do. You can do absolutely anything. Just write it down. Just change the mood. Bring it to your heart, and just start like do like a commitment that today is the first day for the rest of your life. Like today, you are getting everything that you desire because it is here today, and you live like that every day, and you wake up feeling great. And the days that you're not having a good day, it's okay, because guess what, you have another moment to do it again. So just shake it off, get back up, do it again. However, for me, I'm looking at this and I'm getting really excited because I'm starting to see things crumble on levels that before it was like not levels, but like before were there, now gone. So that's really cool and exciting, because I think one thing we can all kind of agree on is that we want this planet to be restored. We want us all to be happy. We want us all doing something we love, you know, and I'm always going to work because that brings joy to my heart. And the same thing goes for you too. Now, how it is, I think it's up to us to do it together. And I think that's where we're going to start doing that. So maybe start getting your projects ready, because you never know. Tomorrow could be something else. What do you think, Mr. Al?
I love it. I thought that was such a fun thing to do.
Great.
We actually watched this movie with my daughter. It was like a musical movie, and the main character, he was told by a psychologist that to get out of his depression was to write these letters to himself that were like, dear Evan, right? And I forget it's like dear Evan something, right? And so it's all musical, so it's like really fun, right? And it's like, well, fun and
It was,
dark.
yeah, he was actually, wasn't he doing his suicidal note? That's what he was.
Okay, don't miss the point. The point was they were manifesting with like, he basically manifested this like these things into reality, though, is kind of what accidentally happened. And I thought the practice, not the movie, like, so I don't want you to get too wrapped up with the themes. So the point was, it's a practice of he was just talking to himself about the things he was grateful about, right? Himself, his friends, his whatever, even though they didn't exist. And so he just kind of manifested these things in reality, like, dear Evan, such a wonderful time to talk to you today, and taking the time to appreciate yourself. And so this, when you're talking about Lionsgate and like writing these things down, what I thought of was like, I think, hey, write it down, put it in a letter, stamp it, send it to yourself, and don't open it until the next year. Right?
On
That's
the
my fun
8th
part.
of the 8th. Yeah,
Right
you can do
now,
that. I think that's cool.
just to further accentuate how little it matters, do what works for you. Do whatever you think is fun. I'm just throwing that out there
Yes.
because I just thought it was a great practice, because I think being mindful of what it is you're manifesting,
Yeah.
being in that moment, taking the time to write it with your hand.
Mm.
Like, I'm an artist, right? I'm an artist. I'm a sculptor, a painter. I'm an illustrator. I love to draw and paint and sculpt in all ways. And the more I put my energy into something creative, and that also applies to writing, right? If you just sit there and write and put a pen to a regular piece of paper, like not a computer, put a pen to a piece of paper, you will be amazed at how incredibly valuable that is, right? How incredibly powerful it is to put your energy into something to bring it to life, you know,
Mm.
um, and see what happens. So that is what we have for today. I'm good. Are you okay?
I am great, Mr. Rao. Well, thank you for today. And we'll speak later. I'll let you finish this off.
Yes, Leela. I'm not sure what you're asking. Okay. Everybody, thank you so much for being here with us. And I encourage you, this is Lionsgate, and happy birthday to my sister who's 88. And I just want everyone to take some time today to please connect with God, with yourself, with whatever is important to you, and allow that best version of yourself to come through into your reality, because we're all better for it. So let's find a way to make the world a better place together. My name is Stefan Rao. This is Life Force Network. Let's go change the world.